Bismillahirrahmanirrahim. Assalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh.
Waalaikumsalam warahmatullahi wabarakatuh.
Okay, hello everyone. We are from group 2. They are myself, Fahrudin, Hasmisa, Nanda, Solehatun, Mukaromah, and Nur Hotimah. Today we are from group 2. Want to present you about part of the script and focus a research question, hypothesis, and assumption. So next slide. Okay, today the subtopic will be present from a group 2. First is definition of research question by following step to developing a research question. And the second is definition of hypothesis with the type of hypothesis. And the third is definition of assumption by following how to define assumption. And last is conclusion. So for the first topic, but the definition of research question will be present with Hasmisa. The time is yours.
Definition of research questions. A research question is a specific inquiry which the research sets to provide a response to. A research question is usually the first step in any research project. Typically, a research determines the methodology and hypothesis and guides all stages of inquiry, analysis, and reporting. Forming the research question may become an iterative process when parameters of the research process, such as part of study or methodology, satisfy the original question. Next, steps to developing a research question. The first is choose an interesting general topics. Most professional research focus on topics they are genuinely interested in studying. Writers should topic about which to know more. Preliminary research on your general topics. Do a few quick searches in current periodicals and journals on your topics to see what's already been done and to help you narrow your focus. The next, consider your audience. For most college papers, your audience will be academic, but always keep your text and developing your questions. The next, start asking questions. Taking into consideration all of the above, start asking yourself open-ended how and why question about your general topics. The next, evaluate your question. After you put a question or even a couple of questions, don't to determine whether they will be effective research question or whether they need more revisiting and reviewing. The next material will be explained by Nanda.
Okay, the definition of hypothesis. Hypothesis is a plural, is a prospect explanation for phenomenon. For hypothesis to be science hypothesis, the science method requires that one can test it. Science generally bases science hypothesis on previous observations that cannot statistically be explained with the available science theories. And then working hypothesis is a previously adaptive hypothesis prospects for the further result in a process beginning with adequate just or the different meaning of the term hypothesis is used a formal logic to denote the antecedent of the proposition. This is the proposition. If P, then Q. P denotes the hypothesis or antecedent. Q, we call it consequent. And next slide. Okay, for the next slide is type of hypothesis. We have five type of hypothesis. Firstly is a simple hypothesis. The meaning of the simple hypothesis is this type of hypothesis suggests that there is a relationship between one independent variable and one dependent variable. And the second is complex hypothesis. This type of hypothesis suggests a relationship between three or more variables, such as two independent variable and dependent variable. And the third is null hypothesis. The meaning of null hypothesis is suggests no relationship exists between two or more variables. And the next is alternative hypothesis. This is hypothesis states the opposite of the null hypothesis. And the five is statistical hypothesis. Statistical hypothesis is the type of use statistical analysis to evaluate a representative sample of the population and then generalize the finding to the larger group. And the last is logical hypothesis. This hypothesis assumes a relationship between variables without collecting data or evidence. And the next slide, back to moderator.
Okay, for the next, our topic today is about definition of assumption. An assumption is belief that form one of the basis of the research for the research. This belief is not to be tested or supported with empirical data. Hypothesis is tentative answer to research question, and the point assumption is just our opinion about their topic without in their theory or analysis, just pure. That's our opinion about that topic. So this is so different about hypothesis because hypothesis is answering from your question in the first. So hypothesis is using the theory, method, and the other for answering the question. So assumption is just aiding about our opinion that topic. So next slide. Okay, so how to identify assumption? Assumption is if you make is to be reasonable, because if you making the assumption is with a is incorrect or unreasonable assumption, is likely result is false, or maybe it's so bad for your script or maybe your presentation. So assumption need which to important to think critical about with our assumption, that we should agree or disagree about our that topic or hypothesis. So making in your research is effort. So a good assumption is one that can be verified or reasonable justified. So make sure your assumption is good, that you must do more than simply and you take or giving the example and explaining about your assumption. Okay, for the conclusion, that will be read and showing represent to Nur Hotimah. Time is yours.
Okay, after everything is presented, I will read about the conclusion in this material. Basically, it is the primary interrogation point of your research and it sets the stage of for your work with the right research questions. You will be able to gather useful information for your investigation. Specifying the research question is one of the first methodological steps in the investigator has to take when undertaking research. The hypothesis you use will depend on what you are investigating and hoping to find. Explain and give example of why your assumptions are probably true. Okay, next, let's do moderator.
Okay, that's maybe enough our presentation today from group 2. So we can finish it. Good luck everybody. And finally, wassalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh.
Waalaikumsalam warahmatullahi wabarakatuh.